All right, we are live. Let's see if we have any folks here that are joining us online. So we'll go ahead and get started to be respectful of everyone's time here. This is also being recorded as well, and we'll make sure that we provide it up on our YouTube and links to it respectively. I'm going to try to adjust the camera angle real quick. And if everyone could just acknowledge if the audio is coming in clear, that would be great. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started here. What I'd like to first do is apologize. Byron had a last minute commitment that came up unexpectedly, so he's not able to attend today. But what we will do, and this is part of what we want to communicate as well as some of our action items following this, is one of our to dos is we're going to schedule a live AMA, including some of the dev leads from the Huddleverse team as well. And so look forward to that in the near future. But in old fashion, what we'll do, particularly with this AMA, and what I generally like to do in these sessions, is just give an overview and update just regarding where we're at, and obviously in regard to this particular announcement. And then from there, we'll jump into the questions. We did get a number of folks submit questions through just our typical AMA form. And then we also for those folks that are viewing this online, we're viewing those questions as well. So feel free to submit anything and we'll address those as we go on. All right. So first and foremost, I'd like to start off by just um, thanking everyone for not only attending here, but obviously just your patience and your continued support as we go through and navigate a lot of not only just the business, but some of these issues and challenges that we're facing. Obviously, this has been a very eventful journey for all of us. We've been dealing with different issues as well as challenges as well as opportunities as we've gone through this journey together. And again, I just want to be able to thank our community, those that are token holders, and those that have been with us through this journey. Just to say thank you as a part of your continued support and being alongside of us. Um, we'll just jump right into just the meat and bones of this particular discussion. Um, what we wanted to do, particularly for those that haven't been able to read some of the updates that we've posted recently, we do have some large news that we'd like to be able to announce, and that includes a merger, particularly with a company that we have some working experience with in the past. And so I'll just kind of frame up the conversation and the announcement here just to give people more context. So, as I alluded to earlier, we've been going through this journey together. And one of the challenges that we faced more recently was just around some of the issues with not only token value, but liquidity and being able to make sure that there's a tradable market specifically with our token. And without diving into a lot of details, because I think everyone kind of knows some of our history, one of the things that we wanted to be able to address as we move forward with our strategies was how do we not only address that, but generate a lot of excitement and exposure around Coin, the company, the technology. And some of the other goals that we wanted to be able to address was certainly around creating enough value for the token to get people excited, and for current token holders to be able to ascertain some sort of value for their current holdings. And then also just reducing the overall risk for the company so that we don't put ourselves in a position where we're just dead in the water, right? And we don't have an opportunity to be able to work ourselves out of a situation. We obviously wanted to continue to try to develop as much interest and potential within the technology as possible, and then Obviously, we've had some challenges around just delivery and being able to meet certain milestones and commitments that we've communicated in the past. And so we wanted that to be a high priority goal for us as well. And lastly, and what I'd probably say most importantly, is timing, right? So everything in life is around timing. And as a token holder, obviously it's within our best interest to return value as quick as possible. And so that was a high priority for us, was that part of our strategy needs to include some sort of um, urgency and priority in terms of being able to not only create value, but be able to do that in a certain period of time, and ideally as soon as possible. Uh, because one of the scenarios that we did play was, well, we did have a few different strategies that we thought would be effective. But in terms of executing those strategies, if the return is, let's just say, 2, 5 years down the road, that certainly still doesn't meet our objectives. So the timing piece was certainly very important to us. So as we went through that process and really understanding what our goals are for our strategy, there's a few different things that we wanted to be able to pursue. We outlined those previously in some AMAs, as well as some of the blog articles that we've posted, and that's included, investment strategies, reaching out to VCs, going through and reaching out to potential partners for grants to be able to support their blockchains and tokens, and perhaps be able to raise some liquidity that way. Obviously, we had our own strategy in terms of executing and getting more exposure for our particular network and our technology. The other thing that we really didn't make mention of in the past, but we spent a lot of time in, is an effort to create and provide value back to the community. We were looking for creative ways to be able to leverage our treasury to return some sort of value back to the current token holders as well. And so as we went through that process, there's a lot of things that we did learn. And what we found was that, in alignment with the priority of timing, we felt that being able to invest a lot of that treasury into particular private allocations for different startups that were up and coming was a strong potential for us. And so that's what we ended up moving forward with. We did go through and have a number of conversations with different firms around this. And what we found was, a lot of companies perhaps weren't really mature in their technology and perhaps what they were promoting. We did meet with some teams that did have some working products, but then found that, operationally, as well as just kind of the vision, there wasn't strong alignment. And we ultimately went back to one of our previous partners that we worked with, had some conversations with them, and given our working relationship with them in the past, we had working history, as well as some strong alignment in terms of our goals, our thoughts about how we could potentially work together to create impact within the industry and even disrupt particular markets. And then when we observed all those things together, we felt that it was a really strong fit, particularly with HODLverse. And so, just as a FYI, what HODLverse is they are a metaverse that effectively supports multiple blockchains and different tokens to be able to help you manage your digital assets. And so, one of the reasons why we decided to align with them and move forward with a merger here was, one, it allowed us the opportunity to be able to get a good allocation that we thought would be healthy, so that we can return value and return it in a very short order back to our token holders. So that was our first priority. And out of the folks that we did speak with, we were able to get better terms, particularly with this team, because of some of the commitments that we agreed to in return. On top of that, they have a very mature product In fact, we'll kind of speak on that in a little bit. Uh, it also gives us the opportunity to really align with a lot of trends within the market, particularly around NFTs and metaverses. And so, for anyone that's been following the industry very closely, obviously there's a lot of excitement and energy around that space. And so, this now gives us the angle and opportunity to be able to do that. And again, in our audits and review of their code set, where they're at within their particular roadmap, they're very mature in terms of their technology. And in fact, we believe that we should be able to, get to mainnet very, very quickly. On top of that as well, their platform, their technology, their code set, they've started integrating and have worked on not only just DeFi functions that allow you to swap and do very interesting things such as farming and creating AMM liquidity pools, etc. But they've expanded that to be able to support that on multiple blockchains. And then with the integration of our wallet technology and being able to do cross-chain swaps, we'll be able to do that across their entire platform and do that natively, even with Bitcoin. On top of that, they've already started expanding and working on NFT marketplace. It's really very interesting technology, whereas a lot of the competition that's out there today, specifically within the metaverse, there's not really a lot of large players that have a lot of traction there yet. And the interesting thing, and one of the things that has us quite excited about this play and in this particular strategy, is that the folks that are operating out there today, we've seen some very interesting price action and valuation and growth within those particular companies, and they don't have any technology, right? A lot of these companies have just been selling NFTs and plots of land within their particular metaverses, but they've been able to do and grow and gain a lot of exposure and interest. And so we think that, not only can we be able to achieve that as well, but the fact that there is working technology and a platform that will be on mainnet fairly quickly, and the fact that we can integrate this and provide cross-chain functionality is going to be something special. So, those are the main drivers why we decided to move in this direction. We also think that this allows us to be able to have better focus in terms of our delivery. And so, as I've mentioned, and as a lot of you in the community have expressed, even within your feedback, obviously we have had challenges meeting certain milestones and based upon our estimations and delivery. The beauty of this particular move and merger that we're executing here is that the folks on the Hodlverse side, they are very engineered focused. In fact, there's 5 resources, particularly on that team. They're all engineering focused. A number of them have worked on Sushi Swap previously. They're all very strong in DeFi. In fact, that's kind of their bread and butter. And, admittedly, while we've had some very talented folks on the team on the coin side as well, particularly with our folks and even Byron in Hull, our sweet spot tends to be more around full stack. And so the combination of the two will allow both teams to be able to have kind of more dedicated focus. It's going to allow us to have better balance in terms of, those areas of focus. And I expect our delivery to increase immensely, especially on the blockchain engineering side. So extremely excited about that piece because, as we've experienced in the past, and this is not only a problem specific to coin, but others in the industry as well, it's very hard to find talent in the industry, especially given how fast moving blockchain is and how quick it is to for people to get scooped up. And so by having these extra resources and combining and the teams together and having these folks that are very talented within blockchain and DeFi is something I'm extremely excited about. So let's just talk quickly about next steps here, and what that means for Coin, what it means for the future. What we're going to do as a result of this particular merger, first and foremost, is around the token component. And so we will be doing an airdrop based upon the allocation that we've secured through this particular deal. The total token supply for HODLverse is 1 billion, and we were able to secure 10% allocation in technically kind of a private sale deal with this merger. And so those tokens will be distributed amongst the current Coin token holders. That will be to the V4 token holders. Any folks that currently hold Coin that is a lower version, you still have the opportunity to be able to upgrade your tokens to the latest version. And the way that we're going to execute this is we will take a snapshot. We'll make sure that everyone's very clear upon the date of when we will take this snapshot. We will make sure that the instructions are clear as far as the process is concerned. And those that are holding the V4 tokens at that particular time will be able to, we'll record those specific wallet addresses, and then we'll be able to participate in the airdrop. And so in terms of the airdrop itself, it is, ironically, the Coin token supply is at 100 million. And so it's going to be basically a one-to-one drop. And so if you hold one Coin V4 token, you will receive an airdrop of one money token through this process. And again, we'll make the dates clear as far as the snapshot is concerned. We'll make the dates of the airdrop very clear as well. And then from there, we'll execute that. The dates for the snapshot and the airdrop are to be determined. There's still quite a bit that we want to be able to do in terms of navigating this particular merger. Everything is still extremely fluid, but we want to make sure that things are done correctly, and that we're very clear upon how we execute this, including making sure that the community understands really the tokenomics, the roadmap, what our actions are, not only over the short term, but long term as well. And then collectively execute this so that everyone is safe, secure, and things are executed appropriately. So what does this mean for Coin and the Coin token, right? So as a company, Coin will be merging alongside HODLverse, and moving forward, we will be using the HODLverse branding solely itself. The Coin token will still exist, and so effectively you will have two tokens, or all of us will have two tokens. And as a community, we still have the opportunity to grow Coin and create value there. And so it'll be up to our responsibility on how we want to approach that and the activities we want to be able to do in order to do so. And then meanwhile, there's another vehicle for us to be able to do the same with HODLverse and the money token as well. And so, as a community, we can collectively continue to work down kind of growing both angles. And what this represents is just an opportunity for us to ascertain some sort of value out of both tokens. Meanwhile, in terms of operations and in terms of just engineering and focus and the technology set itself, that will be specifically branded and marketed through the HODLverse branding. So as far as next steps are concerned, what we want to do is obviously continue to keep a very live dialogue as we navigate through this process with our communities. And so what you can expect is we're going to hold another live AMA, as I mentioned earlier, that will occur between the leads for the team. And that will be comprised of both myself, Byron, and then the engineering and dev leads from the Huddleverse team. We will be publishing tokenomics and some additional documentation around this and making some public announcements around it in the near future as well. And then obviously a roadmap to be able to support and give full visibility as far as the plans, the execution, and what we want to do both in the short and long term. From a technology perspective, again, the platform, particularly on the Huddleverse side, is it's pretty impressive. And in fact, that team has even gone down the path of having their smart contracts. We did an audit of their code, and it's clean. But on top of that, they've actually have had 2 audits from different firms go through their smart contracts, and they have over 20 smart contracts that they've developed. I forgot who did their second audit, but one of the firms is Hacken, which is a very reputable firm. We plan on being able to publish a demo as well as making the platform available on testnet, hopefully in the very near future. That's the goal. But nonetheless, it's our responsibility to provide some timelines on a roadmap on when you can expect all that to happen. And so we want to be able to do that soon. We will also, we did have an agreement specifically with that team to provide as much visibility and publicly reveal as much as that team as possible. That was one of our agreements because obviously that's been a concern because that team has operated anonymously, primarily because some of them have worked with SushiSwap and so on. You'll find as we reveal some of these team members publicly, some of them aren't strong in terms of English speaking, and most of those devs, they are international, but to the extent to where they feel comfortable, and we will have them on some of the AMAs. We'll make introductions, and we intend to have a team section on the website as well. And then as we go through this process, obviously there's an angle of us continuing to make sure that we execute an offering, particularly on the Huddleverse side. And that will include activities around just marketing, as well as things that will help the business both grow, scale, get more exposure, et cetera. So hopefully that provides a very comprehensive update just regarding, why we did this, what you can expect, and then next steps as far as not only the merger is concerned, but as far as what we want to be able to do and accomplish as a business moving forward. So with that, I'm just going to start jumping into some of the questions that we received. And I'll start off with the questions that we received in our AMA form here. As I look at some of the questions that have been posted within the YouTube, there's a lot of consistency within some of these. So I'll go ahead and answer those first. All right. So one of the questions is, are you going to make it possible for people to buy coin again, since there will be demand created by the upcoming airdrop? Yeah, for those that aren't aware, and this was part of our strategy as well, is we thought that this would help generate not only exposure for people to know about coin, but perhaps to generate interest in terms of acquiring coin, because depending on the math and depending on the timing, uh, might be able to get effectively more money tokens on this particular swap. And so that was part of our strategy as well. And um, in order for people to buy coin, obviously there has to be liquidity. And so coin is available on Uniswap today, but one of the problems that we've seen and we face because there's lack of liquidity is that there's it's the price on the token and the price impact prohibits people from really buying it. And so what we want to be able to do as part of this process, and again, it's going to be very dependent on the timing, is we are actually going to seed some of that liquidity so that it brings down that price impact, and it'll allow people that are interested to be able to purchase coin directly off of Uniswap again. As we do outline, those details, we'll make it readily available, including those dates. Snapshot date announcement, because we are in confusion on when to unstake. So as I mentioned earlier, we'll definitely make all the dates very clear. We also want to make that process clear as well, because we want to make that process as seamless as possible. I think the worst outcome is if something were to break or not happen as we expect, and then all of a sudden not only did things go wrong, but now we have a bunch of support issues and things that we have to help resolve kind of individually. So we want to make sure that this airdrop goes extremely smooth, and all of those details, the process as well as those dates, will be announced multiple times and continuously in advance so that everyone's very clear. So what is the ratio for the airdrop? It's 1-to-1 based upon the allocation we were able to get, as well as the current coin token supply. How will we drive value to the coin token? That's a great question, right? And there's some ideas on what I believe we can do, but I think the answer here is we're going to have to think about this collectively as a community on how we continue to drive further value for the coin token. This can include, having some collective efforts to where we can drive awareness to the current wallet technology, maybe uh, going down the path that we were planning on with coin anyhow, and supporting more partnerships and tokens, and driving interest that way. What I do know is as we do integrate this technology and deploy together on the hodlverse side, that gives us a very strong case study that allows us to be able to justify and prove that that technology works. And perhaps there's opportunities for us to be able to use that case study, sell that, and have other partners integrate the technology and add some value, et cetera. So I think there's a lot of angles that we can take advantage of here, but it's going to take a collective effort with the community, and we want to work with you together in order to be able to solve that answer. Does merging mean the coin token is in the hodlverse ecosystem? So this is an interesting question as well, because obviously money token will have utility within the hodlverse ecosystem, but that doesn't preclude us from also adding some utility for coin as well. And so we've actually just explored this with the team, and part of our strategy is to actually do that. We want to be able to create and add value to support both tokens within the ecosystem, have both tokens have utility. And so going back to the question before, that's another angle that we could take advantage of as well, so that if there's utility within both tokens, then what goes to say that you can't use both, right? And so that's something that we definitely want to be able to employ within our strategy. I'm going to move over to some of the questions that are on YouTube here. All our motto has been decentralized. Isn't this platform centralized as hell? Um, so the Huddleverse platform is very decentralized, and so the way that you should think about it is similar to Uniswap. If you were to combine together Uniswap, which is a decentralized network, with cross-chain technology, and then you integrate both NFTs and the metaverse, um, that is kind of a high-level overview of what Huddleverse is. So, in terms of being able to manage your assets and do things such as farming, staking, creating liquidity pools, and even swapping, all of that technology is decentralized. And obviously, the coin wallet technology and users creating wallets and holding their funds, that's completely decentralized and non-custodial as well. There are obviously components that are centralized from a business perspective because there's a team that drives, a lot of what's happening right now. Um, but we are deploying, or that team has already developed a governance contract. It's integrated with, I can't recall who it's integrated with, but there's a particular portal that allows folks to be able to create protocols and then vote on them, et cetera. And so, in one of our discussions, it's of high interest to make sure that this operates as a DAO. And again, the technology itself is completely decentralized. Is there going to be coin pairs in HODLverse AMA pools? Great question. So, I think this comes down to, well, the answer is yes. We want to be able to support that, right? But in terms of the actual pool size, that's to be determined. But to answer your question, absolutely. We, as we alluded to earlier, we have a very high interest in growing the value of the money token within the HODLverse ecosystem. But we still have very high interest in making sure that we ascertain and grow some sort of value within the coin token as well. And so, to the extent to where we can create not only utility, but then also make sure that there's liquidity for it in multiple ecosystems, including HODLverse, and making sure that there's a pool there, um, we will make that happen. I just don't know what the pool sizes will be. So Eric, one of your questions here is, if the platform is on a server goes down, the platform goes down too. And obviously there's truth to that. And, to your point, there's probably no platform out there that's 100% decentralized. Blockchains are more decentralized, but yeah, you're right? There has to be some sort of servers operating in order to be able to support these platforms out there. And most of these platforms, including ours and on the HODLverse side as it works today, HODLverse is on AWS. Coin, we've operated on GCP, on Google Cloud. And you're completely right. If those go down, then obviously the platform goes down. And so, in that context, yeah, it's not 100% completely decentralized. Let's see. Someone asked, "Isn't it 5 billion total supply on the HODLverse side?" Um, I think they had that within one of their. I think they were aspiring to have that as their total token supply in their initial raise, but they put their raise on hold, and the total supply now is 1 billion. Let's see here. I'm going back and forth between the different questions here. A number of these are repeated questions, so I apologize for some of the pauses. Will there be marketing for coin in alignment with the merger and IDO of HODLverse? Um, yeah, that's a great question as well, and I think simply the answer is yes. We just don't have an idea of exactly what that will be and how much. Just to be very transparent, since the situation is pretty fluid, we also want to continue working with the community to get feedback on what these activities are that we want to be able to do to grow on the coin side and the coin token. And then from there, I think a lot of that feedback is going to dictate a lot of the actions and things that we want to do, specifically from a marketing perspective. So I would say the answer is yes, but we definitely want to um, think about our approach on how we do that and how we execute it. Are there still plans to drive adoption of coin tech? Who will lead this? The coin team, Hodlverse, or both? Um, there are obviously still plans. I think a lot of the answers that we've talked about here really apply to this as well. In terms of who will lead this, what we want to make sure that we do specifically, well, not only on the coin side, even on the Hodlverse side, right? We want to make sure that there's opportunities where outside developers can come in and add value to the network, to drive utility, um, to create value outside of just the responsibility of the team that's working on it. Uh, we're already starting to work with community members, specifically on the coin side, to have this included. We want to make sure that we do this on the Hodlverse side, as that's going to be a huge focus moving forward as well. But to the extent to where we can make the systems so open that anyone can contribute and add value, is a very high priority and a strategy for us. And so we're going to continue to do that. Back to the question of who will lead it, I think if we can create a program to where we can all do this together, that would be the most ideal situation. Because the reality is there's just so many hours in a day, right? And we want to make sure that we're focused, but at the same time, we can still add value and grow. So I know that's kind of open-ended, but the the goal here is to be able to create an open system to where all of us can contribute. Can we direct any buy pressure via the coin network rather than a competitor's network? That's something we have to do naturally. So as we look to deploy Hodlverse, especially out to mainnet, it's our goal to be able to draw away any interest from all competitors. And if we look at the competitors that are out in the marketplace that will compete directly with Hodlverse, that will be any of the networks that support AMA liquidity pools today that are completely decentralized. So that would include the Uniswaps of the world, the Sushi swaps, and then on the Binance side, that includes Pancake Swap, and the list goes on. Now, one of the differentiating factors on Hodlverse, and why I think it makes this business so interesting, is that if you want to be able to trade or swap tokens on these different chains, you have to go to each one of these networks. So, for example, if you want to trade BNB tokens or a token that's on Binance Smart Chain, you have to go to, let's say, Pancake Swap to be able to do that. But if you then want to, do anything with your Ethereum or ERC20 based tokens, then you have to go to a Uniswap to be able to do that. With Hodlverse, you can do that together. And so you have a couple of options to be able to do that. One is you can select from a drop down, specifically the blockchain network within Huddleverse to operate inside of. And that'll allow you to effectively just switch the chain. Or by using the cross-chain tech that we have integrated, that you can just effectively just do a cross-chain swap together and never have to leave Huddleverse itself. And so that ease of access and being able to do that with less steps in shorter period of time, less transactions, and utilizing less gas, we think adds tremendous value to a lot of different folks. And then on top of that, the experience is just much more simpler than what's out on the marketplace today. And so, at some point, we will look to create some of this pressure on our competitors by even bringing back some of those AMA pools that maybe we create on a competitor's network initially back into our own, especially as we gain traction, grow, and scale the business. Let's see here. What happens if no one buys into the new project? So interestingly enough, we've been in contact with this team over the past few weeks and really kind of navigating this particular deal. And more recently, as things have solidified, through my network, which was one of the reasons why they were very highly interested in working with us in the first place, seeing that their team is mostly dev engineering related. They don't have a lot of strong networks or a strong network around just kind of the investment space and operational space. And as I've been able to have conversations throughout my network around just Huddleverse itself, we've been able to get quite a bit of interest from outside VCs, right? The metaverse space and NFT space is extremely hot right now. And so we've even had a couple of VCs that are very interested in investing. We have one VC in particular that is doing they're running their own metaverse conference later this fall. And they've even asked if we can play some role in being in that, not just as a sponsor, but actually help with some activations and perhaps we they brought this up as an idea, which I think is pretty cool, but perhaps have Huddleverse play as the digital metaverse version of their physical conference. And I bring this up just to answer the question to say that I think that, let's just say hypothetically, if we decide not to do a direct offering, or we do a direct offering and there's no interest, I strongly believe that there's going to be interest outside, even from VC firms, to help us be able to have some sort of be able to help us navigate this and have some sort of path forward to where we can return value and have liquidity specifically for the money token, and in the end be able to return value to current coin token holders. Please don't involve Jeff. I'm assuming that's Jeff from TrustSwap. The VC firms I'm mentioning are larger firms, and so in fact, I haven't spoken to Jeff in quite some time, but it doesn't involve Jeff. Based on what you know about the platform, what comparison projects do you feel would be great for us to see potential opportunity? So just to make some comparisons, I'll answer the first half of that question. I truly believe, and this was part of our analysis as we kind of went through and observed different firms. So, I compare this to some of the play to earn games that have achieved success in a very short period of time. I also compare this to a lot of NFT projects, and again, some that have just sold NFTs and plots of land and have still exhibited significant success without even having a platform. I think we have the potential and path to be able to do that as well, and be able to enjoy some of the growth that we've seen competitors such as like DeFi kingdoms. And for those that aren't familiar with it, they have a token called Jewel that they grew to, I believe it, don't quote me on these numbers, but it was anywhere between 500 million to a billion in market cap in, I believe it was in 4 months' time, very short period of time. And I think we have the potential because the platform is mature. It's been audited. We've played with the demo. Because of the gaming functions, the integration of the NFTs, we believe it has the potential to be able to grow very quickly. Now, how quick, I have no idea, and I don't want to make any commitments or predictions on that. But nonetheless, even if we are able to, grow to a valuation of 50 to 100 million, that's significant value, right? But if we have the potential to be able to do 500 to a billion, as some of these companies are doing out there right now, then that's a great opportunity for us. So I think that's great. The other cool thing, I'll just kind of mention some of the features that maybe a number of you aren't aware of, specifically on the Holoverse side. They have this gamification component that's really cool for anyone that's really familiar with Age of Empires. They have this gamification component to the extent to where when you connect your wallet, and depending on some of the activities you've done through the life of your journey, your financial journey, they have properties within the metaverse that actually evolve based upon your activity. So if you connect your wallet and it's a wallet that has no assets, zero balance, then you have a specific user home that represents your wallet. And as your balance increases, or as you have more assets, the house actually changes. So your environment changes. Same thing goes with farming, as well as creating a liquidity pool. Depending on how much you farm or the size of the pool, the environment actually changes. And so that property changes, which is really cool, right? It encourages anyone that plays video games, that type of experience just encourages and incentivizes people to continue to drive more activity. They also have this really cool feature as well. It's not fully baked out yet, but they have this cool feature where you can actually decorate using NFTs that you can purchase within the ecosystem. You can decorate the interior of your home. And while it may not sound that impressive, those that are familiar with Animal Crossings, which was a huge hit and still is during the pandemic, that functionality would be in comparison to that, to where you can purchase NFTs, you can decorate the interior of your home. Eventually, you can decorate your city, and you can actually show that off to others online. Or, as folks join, you can create a multiplayer session, and you can have other folks join your session, and they can check out your city, they can check out your environment. They have some cool functionality where you can interact with other players within the metaverse. You can chat with them. And what I'm mentioning right now, a lot of these features are already working. They're baked out. And so extremely excited to be able to get not only a demo, but allow the community to start playing with it, because it's much more mature than a lot of the competing platforms out there. So we think we're going to be able to get some traction very, very quickly. Can we compare this project with Decentraland? So as it stands right now, and the answer is yes, right? And so there is a strategy, although it's not, based upon our conversations with them and where they're at right now, they haven't started going down that path. But we did agree to go down the strategy of competing with Decentraland and offering plots of land to where people can purchase not only NFTs to do things to customize their city, but also purchase plots of land within the city and metaverse as well, have ownership to them, and then build their own properties within this land. One of the cool features that I didn't mention that I think will be a huge opportunity and also value proposition for folks out there is there are properties within the metaverse that will also include a protocol or DApp with it. So when you purchase a particular property, which is an NFT, you have ownership rights of that NFT. As we know NFTs today, they're typically just static images or maybe a piece of land, right? But now there's this concept of functional NFTs to where we want to be able to attach a protocol or adapt to it to where you become a franchise owner within the metaverse itself. And so I'll give you an example. Let's say one of the properties you purchase is it's the bank for the metaverse. So with that particular property will be attached a protocol where you can actually lend and borrow assets. And so anyone that actually does lend or borrow, particularly within the functions or the DeFi functions of the metaverse, you can set forth a particular fee for that, and then you as a franchise owner of that property will actually earn that revenue. And so anyone that lends and borrows within the platform and transact within your property, you actually reap the rewards of that. So almost kind of like the concept of monopoly for those that are very familiar with it. If someone lands on your property, they have to pay you some sort of fee. In this case, if you purchase a functional NFT and someone utilizes your particular protocol or DApp within it, then you, as the NFT owner, you earn that revenue and so on for it. Who's going to monitor the live chats for spammers? Sorry, Eric, I'm not sure if I follow that particular question and what the live chats would be for. Who increases the size of the city? So, this is an interesting question because in some cases, especially when it pertains to metaverses, as it stands today, there's a component of centralization in this because you have to have folks that kind of drive the initial architecture of the city. And that comes from not only just the experience itself, but obviously anything that would tie into the technical aspect of it. So we want that component will be centralized, right? The devs will initially architect, the city to begin with, but as the city expands, becomes more mature, there's more traction and adoption. And obviously as we work together as a community, as I mentioned earlier, there are governance. There's a governance contract that we want to be able to utilize so that we get feedback from the community on how that expansion does occur. And so, whether it's additional plots of land or more properties to consider, we want to take in that input and that feedback to be able to draw and do those conclusions together. So DeFi Kingdoms has a supply of 361 million. That's very different when you have a supply of 1 billion. Yeah, that's obviously true. And I think that supply, though, would impact perhaps price value appreciation. In terms of potential, which was what I was referring to earlier, I think we still have the potential to be able to ascertain that similar type of growth in that growth curve as well. And so market cap is relatively the same regardless of what that supply would be. What would be the incentive to hold the coin token after the airdrop in order to prevent mass sale right after? Well, I think it's a few different reasons, right? So one, we have to make sure that there is some sort of utility for the coin token. But obviously, Federico, you bring up a great point. That is a risk, right? And so one of the reasons why we um, decided to go in this direction is that if that were to happen and we weren't able to create utility with the coin token, or for whatever reason there isn't that incentive, then at least there would have been the opportunity to create value within the money token to be able to make up for that, if you will. So, um, the goal and the most beautiful outcome is that we're able to drive value, awareness, and adoption, obviously on both the coin token and the money token. So that is our goal. Um, but to the extent to where we're not able to do that, then we want to be able to at least ascertain some sort of value in return, especially for those that have been with us throughout this journey. I'm still very highly incented myself. The team is still very driven to make sure that we drive value to coin token holders as well, because as a team, we still hold our own coin tokens. We've had a number of different employees within the company that have been compensated through coin tokens, and so it's not something that we're going to just let go. Right? We're very incentivized to make sure that we grow both paths. So we're wrapping up on the hour here, and I actually have another meeting I have to jump off to in 3 minutes. But I'll just wrap it up here quickly. Um, I hope that this AMA was not only insightful, but the actions that we're taking just reinforce really our seriousness, our intent, and really just the uh, the opportunity we want to take to be able to grow and make sure that we do the right things as a business. Right. As I alluded to and have mentioned before, we understand that we've had some challenges in the past as it pertains to the business, the technology, et cetera. And I think this path forward gives us a huge opportunity to be able to resolve and address a lot of those problems and issues from the past, as well as give us great potential for the future as well. I'm extremely excited to be able to continue this journey, especially with that potential, and hope that this really gets everyone excited in terms of um, what we're going to be able to do, the potential of the opportunity itself, including not only the team, but the space that we're going to be able to operate in, including the metaverse, which not only has huge momentum, but as predicted by even some of the largest analysts and some of the largest leaders in the world, is going to have a huge impact on our lives and society in the future. And then most importantly, I hope all of this really reiterates just the um, commitment that we have as a team and as a business to not only coin token holders, but our journey moving forward. Right? We've always committed that we're not going to give up, and we hope that these actions really help reinforce that, as well as making sure, and it's still a very huge priority of mine, to make sure that we return value to coin token holders, um, and I want to make sure that we see that through. And so, with that said, thank you again for each and every one of you, especially those active community members that really work with us to provide feedback and help us solve a lot of the problems and address our challenges today. So, that said, thank you so much again for your time. Sincerely appreciate all of your patience, your support. And really look forward to the opportunity of continuing to engage and collaborate together so that we can make some significant impact here. Appreciate everyone's time. Talk to you soon.